Good morning, everyone. This is Alyssa Metzler and Dr. Christina Nava, and we are here today to talk to you, to give you a little bit of an overview around our next round of three-year cycle state EL enhancement grants. So, like I said just a few minutes ago, there are a few handouts over in the panel off to your right. There is a copy of the request for proposals, Word and PDF format. There is a co-teaching rubric as well there for those of you who are interested in the co-teaching grant, but also you will find the PowerPoint that we are presenting to you this morning. So with that, we will go ahead and get started and jump in. There we go. So they are finally here. I know many of you have been anxiously awaiting our state EL enhancement grant. We are going to share with you today the three options that we have around our state EL enhancement grant. One is going to be on co-teaching, which many of you are already familiar with. The EL program enhancements, again, another one that you may be familiar with. And then really exciting one there that we are excited to tell you about is the third option, our EL regional coach. So I know that you've been anxiously awaiting, so we will get into it. And just wanted to remind you that there are three strategic goals for the Idaho that were laid out by Superintendent Ybarra. And what we're here to share with you today is really going to align to that first goal that you see. Idaho students persevere in life and are ready for college and careers. This opportunity today on the enhancement grant is really going to afford some really neat opportunities for kids to be college and career ready. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Christina to tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk to you about today, as well as the legislative intent.
All right, so here's just a quick overview. Today, I'm going to just share the actual intent language that is written and reviewed every year for these particular grants. Then we'll go over the three different options, some requirements, and the timeline. So the next slide, 287, so you can look that up. It's in Idaho Code for the Division of Children's Programs. And I'm not going to read this to you, but I'm just going to kind of summarize. This is where all of our money for English learners comes from in this particular section, 331617 of Idaho Code. And so 3.8, almost $4 million goes to our English learners out in your districts. And so whenever it says the Superintendent of Public Instruction, that happens to be our department. So we have the responsibility to distribute this money to our districts. Okay, so that first slide was about just all the money in general. And then the second section of the same House bill is particular to these competitive grants. And so they are in a three-year cycle, and the amount that is provided is $450,000. It's actually $500,000, but we set aside $50,000 for external evaluators. We have to have people who do not work at the State Department help these districts. And that's just so that it's when they submit a report at the end of the year, I present that report to Superintendent Ybarra, and it's just very objective. It's not me saying, yes, continue to fund this, because you know that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, continue to fund this and then give us more money. So it's required that we have external people who are unbiased help the districts who qualify for these grants. You'll see in here some old language particular to AMAOs. Unfortunately, that's just what happens during legislative times. Some things get missed, and this was one that definitely got missed, but it is on the books to be deleted for next year. Many of you know, with the passage of Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA for short, AMAOs was removed and now will be reconfigured under Title I. So again, just some old language that didn't get the strikeout. Oh, the last thing I wanted to say on that, I'm sorry, there was one more thing that was pretty important on that last slide. That's all right. Really critical is, yes, these are 3-year grant cycles, meaning when we award them this July, the district will receive these for 3 years. That is, of course, if our Idaho legislature continues to provide us with the appropriation for these grants. So every year, you know, I'm over there making sure that they have what they need and to answer any questions that they have about any of the monies that they provide us here for language learners in Idaho. And I always feel a lot better when we get the budget back saying, yes, it was approved. So yeah, you may be approved for 3 years, but every year I always wait to see, make sure the check is in the mail, so to speak. Okay, and then our last slide here just talks again a little bit about that program evaluation that I talked about earlier. So we have the purview to come up with what these grants look like and how we want to fund them. And then in 2019, I need to provide a report to JFAC about how these awards did. How did these receive this funding? How did they do? Did they meet their goals? Did they meet their objectives? How are kids doing? And so each year we do that. Again, that's that external evaluator collecting that information from you all, but then I take it and take it across the street for continued funding.
So, with no further ado, we are going to jump into the 3 options that you have around your proposals for the enhancement grants. And like I said, all of these are spelled out with much more detail within the request for proposals that you have, that are attachments that you see over on the right side. So we're going to give you some of the really critical pieces, but there's definitely more information about these in those handouts. So please make sure, if you are going to write a proposal, that you make sure that all the pieces that we are looking for within each proposal is present. So more detail is on those handouts. So we're going to start with option 1. Many of you may already be familiar with this one, as many of you have, some of you have already been receiving these 3-year grants for co-teaching. So with our co-teaching grant, option 1, participating districts and schools will place a highly qualified full-time EL teacher to co-teach with a team of education teachers. The funds will be used to support the, EL teacher and work with the work that he or she does with the group of general education teachers. Just so you know, this grant, for those of you who already have one of these co-teaching enhancement grants, this can be written as a continuation if for you, or those of you who are interested in this for the first time, it can be written as a first-time grant as well. This is a grant that we have up to $85,000 per year for 3 years, again, based upon appropriation every year. And this, with the co-teaching proposal, you also must complete the co-teaching rubric analysis, which is the Excel file that is, that is attached over on the right side for you. Christina, would you like to add anything else about? So for those of you, again, I just want you to know that you can go either way on this. You can either write this as a continuation or as a first time, okay? Both of those options are available. Our second option
is our EL program enhancements. And so this one should look familiar to many of you, as it was available also last year. But this one is really, you tell us what you want to do to enhance your core program. And so this one's really exciting because there is no limit to what your creativity can bring. And we do have a couple of examples, but we really don't want you to be limited by those. And they're on the screen here. Here we go. So please don't be limited by these, but here are some things that we have seen or funded in the past. So the parent and community programs, before and after school programs, summer school, supplemental curricula, PD for your teachers and staff and administrators. We've seen a lot of that. Again, if you have a great idea that you want to implement with your English learners or with your teachers of English learners, you know, send it through, or even if you want to chat about it beforehand, before going through all the work, you know, give us a call and we'd love to talk with you about it. And then there on the screen, you'll also see the amounts for each year.
So you can write that based on your need, and anywhere from a $10,000 to $15,000. So,
yep, perfect.
Option number 3 is our new option that we have written this year, and this is what we are calling our EL Regional Coach. This would allow participating districts or charters to place and hire one full-time certified EL teacher to serve as an EL Regional Coach. The funds would be used again to help hire a regional coach that would help support EL teachers and staff in the participating districts that need support around a multitude of areas that we're going to talk about in the next slide. Again, like the Coteaching grant, this is going to be an $85,000 per year grant for 3 years. And the other contingency with this is that at least 3 participating districts or charters must be mentioned and participating within this group of districts who are going to write this proposal. You can definitely have more than 3, but it at least has to be 3, okay? And so if you have some questions around what would this EL coach do, we have some activities that could be included. These are, again, like Christina said with the last slide, not the person could do to help support your ELs and your staff in your schools, but this is a list of things that they could do. Things like assisting the districts in the region who are participating with the identification and the placement, training your staff how to administer home language surveys and evaluating home language surveys to see what students do qualify, helping you screen students so that it's a consistent person and evaluation across students being qualified as English learners in the participating districts. This person can provide professional development to the staff, helping you to prepare for the annual Access 2.0. Those of you who are your assessment coordinators, you know that that is a heavy lift, and it does require a lot of planning, and there's some definite logistics around it, especially when you're sharing computer labs and things like that. So helping you to support, you with those things. Working to help progress monitor the students that are in exit year 1 and year 2 status, as well as to help work with your staff and your parents to promote parent involvement in your districts, and also again to serve as a point of contact for those of you who are participating within this group that is writing the proposal. But being your SDE, kind of a point person for that region. Okay, so a couple things just to point out around the grant requirements.
At this time, we're going to take a quick poll. We're just kind of curious before we go further. Maybe you've had a chance to already read through these, but with our quick, there we go. We're just kind of curious. Sorry, I lost my poll screen. I got to go back. Give me a second. I apologize. Nope, it's not going to let me. Oh, so go ahead. Just all right, can you run it on yours, or do you want me to keep going?
How do I go? Give us 2 seconds, everyone. We just want to try to put up a poll to see what you guys are all thinking about in terms of what proposal you are planning on writing. And then it's launch. I just hit the wrong button. Oh, gotcha. So then, Okay. You should be able to see now a poll that has popped up that will say, which grant option will you be applying for? We're just really curious to see what you are all thinking about in terms of writing proposals, just so we're just curious.
Yeah.
I see. Awesome. This is great. And you can choose more than one if you're a district who's planning on writing more than one grant. We can pull the questions up on
What are you
I am seeing about 44, 47%, 50% at Coteaching, 84% option 2, program enhancement, and 25% for the EL regional coach.
Cool. Okay.
That's awesome.
Now it's back to me.
Okay. There we go. I can.
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sorry, or we kind of lost one of our screens, so we're just working off one screen now here.
We went from 3 screens to 1, so technology.
So now we're going to talk to you really quickly about some additional grant requirements.
Yeah. And so on this particular page, we do have a couple of musts, but definitely these 3 on the left-hand side of the screen are. You have to accept our technical assistance by the external SE contractors. I haven't, in my time here at the department, had anyone say, no, we don't want their help, but I definitely have to say it. The second one is submit annual data. Again, that is so critical to get all that data when your external contractor comes out and visits with you. To get the information that they're asking for, because again, I take that across the street and try to continue this funding or increase our funding for English learners. And then the third one is really critical too, is to identify a point of contact within your school or district. So it kind of depends on whether you're doing a grant for a particular school or a whole district, but we definitely need a point of contact. And if that point of contact were to leave, somehow someone in the district, the administrative team, would need to let us know who their new contact will be, and those are definitely non-negotiable. But again, in my time here, I haven't had any issues with that. We usually work it out with our districts, which is great. And then off to the right-hand side, some particulars that you'll see in the actual application. But for the co-teaching, we need the signatures of all the staff involved. We would hate to award a grant and folks be signed up without knowing. So if we have their signature, that means at least they were somewhat informed of what's going on. A letter of support from either the principal or superintendent. Again, it depends on what you're asking for. Could be the superintendent in some cases, it could be the principal in some cases. For our program enhancement, again, signatures of all staff and the letter of support from the administrator. And the last one, we added a few things there. So the difference is that there will be a need for a fiscal agent because there's multiple districts. We need one of the districts to handle all of the money, just one district to handle the money. And then we need to identify, again, like Alyssa mentioned, at least 3 districts who are willing to participate, or charters, districts and charters. And then again, those letters of support. And with the EL regional coach, just those letters of support have to come from each participating district. It's not just maybe the fiscal agent. So, and like I said, again, there's a lot more detail within each proposal in the request for proposals. Sorry about that. We forgot to close the poll, and so you couldn't see what we're seeing. Apologize again for that. And was it up on the middle? No. Now they can see it. Okay. Yeah, it was perfect on my computer, and I don't know what happened. It is good. For those of you who know, this is Alyssa. Those of you who know, I've told you, many of you several times, my computer is haunted. So yes, and when she offered to use her computer, I should have remembered that. I'm like, oh yeah, your computer's fine. Oh my gosh. Okay, so just wanted to remind you that with that EL regional coach, there are some other things that you have to make sure that you have to spell out. So like she said, you'd have to have the fiscal agent
but you also have to, someone has to also house the EL regional coach, and that is all again, very detailed within the proposal, but that was just another piece that I wanted to let you know.
Oh, I'm back in business.
Yay!
Oh,
okay, again. Yay!
Okay. Yay! This is how much fun we have over here. If you're ever wondering if we're bored.
Okay, so really, we're gonna tell you about our timeline and where are we at now and where are we going, and how soon will you know whether you have been awarded these funds. So as you know, on May 17th, you received the EL Enhancement Grant request for proposals. Okay, here we are today on May 24th. You are receiving this grant overview webinar. This, like Christina said, is being recorded for anyone that would need to go back and revisit it, or that was not able to join us today. July 14th is our next time to get information.
No, the submission.
The submission, excuse me. I'm lost. There we go. So July 14th is the submission of final proposals by midnight Mountain Standard Time to our Idaho Title III Migrant at gmail.com email.
And I was just going to say, the reason why we're using that Gmail is because there's multiple eyes on that, and so we have a process so that we can see those and it doesn't get lost in our regular mail, because that does happen quite a bit. If you want to, I'm more than happy to reply back to you saying if we received it. Happy to do that. So when you submit it, if you want to also include me or Alyssa on there, we can reply right back and say, you bet, we got it.
Then our next date would be July 31st. This is the date we will award the proposals announce the awards to the districts who have received them. And then August 25th will be when the money is sent to the districts who have been awarded.
Mm-hmm. And those of you who have received a grant before, or if you have not, I just want to reiterate, this is state funding. This is not federal funding. So many of you tried to apply some of the federal rules to this money. You don't have to. It's great. We have a lot more flexibility with our state dollars. And so this money will not be submitted through the GRA with drawdowns or anything like that. If you've heard your business manager talk with those words, it is a straight lump sum that you will receive for the first year amount.
And so once we receive on the date that they are submitted, what does the process look like for our evaluation on our side? So we're going to really quickly talk about the proposal reviews and how we are going to review and evaluate the proposals that are submitted. Our evaluation process and criteria that we will be looking for and looking at. Each grant application will have 2 reviewers. We will make sure that when those 2 reviewers are reviewing the proposals, that we are going to black out the district and charter names, so it is a blind review, just to protect against any bias or reviewer bias. Our reviewers will complete the grant proposal rubrics, which you have copies of in the request for proposals. You will see exactly what they are going to evaluate your proposal on. They will also be looking for each grant. For each grant, they will be looking at the. Oh my goodness, I'm tongue-tied. They will be looking for these following 4 areas in each proposal. They will be looking for the anticipated benefits for your English learners, and if you have mentioned any previous results from similar projects that have been very successful. They will be looking to see the estimated cost of what you're going to be using your money for. They will also be looking for the local and regional impact that you are going to have on your region, as well as the students that you are serving. And then finally, they're going to be looking to see if there are also any other current initiatives or priorities for English learners happening in your district or charter or your region. And with that, that is what we have to share with you today. Again, it was kind of a fast and furious, very quick overview webinar. We do have some questions that have come in. No, they're not questions. Maybe they're just comments.
There are a lot of comments about the poll, and I'm glad I looked. So.
Sorry about the poll, everyone.
But we will hang on the line.
Yeah.
I also will take a minute to update some of you. We have a lot of migrant districts on the call here, so I'm going to, as we're waiting for questions to come in, just update you really quick. We're so excited for our Summer Migrant Institute for our students. We have 41 students. We didn't make our mark of 50, but nonetheless, 41 are all signed up, and we're ready for them starting in July. District director should be getting an email today from Sarah about additional information as far as transportation and some other things that we're looking for. We'll need some volunteers. Also, I'm going to do a shameless plug for we do need additional staff. We have quite a few that we're going to interview tomorrow, but even if we hired all of them, which, by the way, they're amazing people, we still don't have enough people. So I'm going to put the link in, or you can go to our website, click on the Migrant, EL Migrant tab, click on Migrant, Summer Institute, and it's called Counselor Application, and maybe that's part of the confusion, but we are looking for, oh, it says it's not. Well, maybe that's part of the problem.
You're going to do it online so you can see where you're going?
No, I know. Okay. No. I'm going to put the link in for them. It says Counselor Application, but it really is, we're looking for certified teachers for day. We're looking for non-certified people for the day and the night. So, and we're looking for a nurse as well. I've exhausted all my other channels that I know, and yeah. So if you know of anyone or if you're interested, I will put the link in to the webinar here in a moment. And then now we have some questions coming up.
And we have a hand up too. I don't know if that's a question.
We have a hand up, so
Darlene, I see that you have your hand up. I will unmute you so that you can ask your question if you have a question. You should be unmuted now.
Yeah, I had it up when I was stuck on that poll screen, but after I typed in the question, then you cleared it and everything went ahead just fine. But good morning, and now you're
okay, perfect. Thanks, Darlene.
And we would have seen it if my two screens were working. Funny how that works. Okay, so I just put in the link. So now let's take a look at the questions because some did come in. Let's see here. Thank you for the smiley face, Raquel. Is this grant only available every 3 years? Great question. Yes. So it's a 3-year cycle grant. So once they are awarded this summer, that those districts will continue to receive that money if they comply with what they said they're going to do for the entire time. So great question. Someone's asking to go back to number 4 on the last slide. Please give more specifics on what you are thinking. So go back to number 4, Alyssa. Okay, so current initiatives. So would this grant enhance what you're already doing in your own district or even region, whatever you're doing in your so play to that. If you are working on a particular initiative for your English learners and you're going to write an option 2 grant to enhance that, to push it, propel it forward, that's what we mean by that. So I appreciate the question for clarification there. And maybe you don't have any current initiatives, but you want to, and with option 2 or option whatever, whichever one, you're going to start something in your district because, gosh darn it, you need to. So we see it both ways. How will we be able to learn about efforts in our region for a regional coach? How will we be able to learn about efforts? I'm not quite sure I'm understanding the question. If you wouldn't mind maybe clarifying, I think I know what you mean. So I'll give you a second to maybe rephrase it. If not, I will answer it in just a moment the way that I am interpreting it on the screen and move on to the next question for a second. Being an independent charter, could another district's EL regional coach come support us? We would agree to the consortium. Woohoo! Okay, so Vatty, I'm going to call you out. Sage International would love to be part of the option 3 is what I'm understanding. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to reach out to other people in the area and say, hey, I've heard about this great opportunity, because maybe they haven't heard about it, and say, but we can't do the fiscal agent piece, you can negotiate that. Go ahead.
And with that, if I can show my screen here and walk you through where to find it, but remember, if you go to the State Department website and you click on the EL Title III EL page, remember, over to the right side under my contact information, there is the IDCI list of the EL coordinator and or the English language proficiency assessment coordinator for every single district who has identified someone within those roles. So if you are looking to reach out to other districts or charters in your region for option 3, that's who you're, go to that list, and that's the you in the other district that you would need to talk to say, hey, this is what we're thinking about, would you be interested? And that is really what you can use to use as a contact list, because that is the most up-to-date list that I have. So when I email all of you guys for the webinar like I did today, that's the list I go to. I pull a fresh list every single time. So I know we sound like a broken record when we tell you about IDCI, but that's why it's so important. So it's not just important for me to get information to you. It's just as valuable for you to find the you in another district that you would need to contact. So just remember that that's a resource for you if you're looking into option 3 and reaching out to other people who would be interested in participating in option 3 with you.
And this is why I love my job. So Vatty, we have Dalila from Caldwell who just chatted in and said, Sage International, let's talk. So let's connect. So I will email you both because I know both of your emails, or you can look each other up in IDCI. And yeah, have that conversation. I really appreciate that. And Dalila is from the Caldwell School District. Another question here. So if you don't get an award this year, will there be this application process next year? Unfortunately, no. We have them in 3-year cycles just because we know that it takes time to implement something, and it takes even more time to then see the benefits of it. And so I'm glad that our legislators have agreed that we are able to kind of stick it through, because sometimes we don't see those results right away. So the answer is no, but for a good reason. And then thank you, Nancy, for clarifying your question about benefiting from the regional. It's very similar to Vatty's. So Nancy, I apologize, I don't know where you're at as far as location goes, but we will be happy to connect with you and see if we can find 2 other districts to help you. So is it 2 districts total or 3 total?
At least 3 total.
Okay, perfect. I had my own clarifying question.
At least 3 total for, so it would be the person who, the district that's writing the proposal would technically be the one.
Okay, perfect.
And then a second one that's willing to participate and a third one willing to participate. So really it's 2 additional to the one who is writing the proposal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. And Nancy, thank you for providing your region. We know some people up there that we can connect you with who would love to do this as well.
I pulled up, just so you know, I pulled up the list. You can see my screen right now. I went to our State Department website, and I hope, and you may have seen how I got there, but I went to Department of EL Migrant, and then I went to the EL page. Scroll down. Like I said, those 2 lists of the U's in other districts are right here. Here's their Title III language instruction for EL program person, as well as their English language proficiency assessment person. So my guess is you're going to be wanting to be talking to this person, but in most cases, for many of you, it's the same person.
I had another great question just come in about does the size of our EL population would that qualify us for a particular grant? We don't look at that. We we're looking at impact. So don't worry about those things, okay? Apply. Even with one student, if you want to do something that's amazing, then go for an Option 2 grant, or maybe do the regional with a few more districts, because if there's 5 in one and 10 in another, that there's still an impact there.
They add up.
They do add up, and every kid matters. So great questions. We'll just hang on the line for a few more, maybe another minute or so, and see if any questions. Ben Garcia, good to see you on the call. All right. Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of thank yous. So I'm guessing that you probably have your questions, and if not, if you haven't formulated them yet, give us a call. Just let us know. We're here, email, phone calls, and we're happy for English learners. Have a great day, everyone.